This is a Lionel model 746 from 1958. It's a cool model of a Norfolk and Western J-class steamer, one of which still exists and operates around the country. But this Lionel engine has a problem that often occurs with old Lionel engines that haven't been serviced or run in a long time. Assuming the track is correctly connected to a proper transformer, the engine doesn't run when you apply power. It just makes a buzzing sound or no sound at all. Let's see why. Here's the motor. This is a smoke generator. Right in the middle here is the likely culprit of why this engine only buzzes. It's the remote control reverse unit, or what Lionel called the E unit. It changes the direction of the engine, and it's a common source of trouble. If electric current is impeded from flowing through the E unit to the motor won't run. Here's an example E unit. At the top is an electromagnetic coil. This is what makes the buzzing sound. It pulls in a plunger that rotates this drum. The drum has copper channels that contact bronze fingers, and the current is routed out through the wires to the motor. I have a homemade device for testing E units. You can see an example E unit working here. No light bulbs is neutral. Blue light bulb is one direction, neutral. Red light bulb is the other direction. If we zoom in, you can see the plunger spinning the drum and routing the current. By the way, the lever turns the reverse unit on and off. If the E unit is off, the engine won't reverse and goes in the same direction. Regarding this E unit we're diagnosing, if we zoom in, we see that the plunger is indeed rotating the drum. That's working, but the drum appears to be very dirty, gummed up with oil and grease that should not be there. The E unit is one thing that should never be oiled or greased. Yeah, the copper channels on this drum are really dirty. Let's see if cleaning them off solves the problem. In part 1, we determined that the Lionel reversing unit, known as the E unit, which is often the reason an engine buzzes but won't run, is not, in this case, the reason this engine doesn't run. So we move on to the motor, which I found out when testing the E unit is a likely reason this engine won't run. Here is the motor disconnected and removed. The armature is very hard to turn. This should spin freely, but it takes quite a bit of torque to turn it. So something is impeding it inside here. I hope it's just a lot of hardened, sticky lubricant like you see on the worm gear. If, like me, you buy fixer-uppers or want to service your own trains, the old-timers who service trains are moving on. You want to get a service manual like this for Lionel trains made in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. There aren't service manuals for every make of train. Lionel is the best documented and most reparable. This manual has a diagram that tells me what's inside the motor that I'm about to take apart. Okay, so here's the motor disassembled with all the parts along the drive shaft laid out in the order in which they came out of the drive. And these are indeed sticky with old lubricant. Time to get some pipe cleaners and degreasing chemicals. Sorry, I don't get into chemicals in my videos. So here we are with all the drive shaft parts cleaned off and put back in place. You see this turns much better than it was before. It turns out that while cleaning out the motor was an absolute necessity, it also was not the solution. To keep this video from getting too long, I just replaced the E unit with a refurbished E unit with color-coded wires. I'll overhaul the old E unit at some point in the future. I also replaced the brush springs and the brushes on the motor. I put in a little short-term lubrication, and this is what we get. There's even some smoke coming out of the smoke chamber. Oh, that's a nice smoker. I gotta stop that before the smoke alarm goes off. Well, actually not smoke, it's vapor. There's still some work to do on this engine. I had a light bulb for it, but I forgot where I put it. And I haven't gotten to the whistle tender yet. This is an engine that sellers ask $800-900 on up for. I didn't pay anywhere near that for it, and I got a fixer-upper that's turning into a real gem.